follow along as best you can right now. Because yeah, there's settings and stuff you need to change. Hmm? Right, you weren't here on Wednesday, were you? Yeah. Oh, okay, okay. Were you able to get logged in or not? Oh shit. All right, yeah, just follow along. Since I'm recording now, I think. Am I recording? I don't know. Yes, I'm recording. All right. So since I'm recording now, I'm going to run through really quick the settings that you should have changed for Blender. Okay. Remember I said get rid of that timeline window. So once again, if your Blender opens up and you have this little window down here, you don't need it at all right now. This is for animation. Okay, we're not going to do that yet. So what you need to do is come to your bottom left-hand corner of your window, click and drag down, and that will collapse that window. Okay. Also, some settings you need to change. We want to go into user preferences. So file, user preferences, or I think it was command period. Yeah, command comma. Command comma. We need to go to input. And then you want to change the select width from right to left. It will by default be on right. Okay. And then if you're on a laptop, you want to change, you want to turn on emulate number pad. That turns your number keys at the top into, has them take over the functions that would normally be assigned to the number pad, which is that extended number section off to the right on full-size keyboards. And oh yeah, and then also come over here to the, this is a list of all the keyboard shortcuts for every possible thing that would exists in Blender. Come to search and type in view selected, and make sure under 3D view here, these first two view selected options are a period. They will probably say like control pad period or control number pad period. If you're on desktop, you don't have to change these. If you're on a laptop, this is only for laptops. Okay. So just change it. You know, click on it and then press the key you want it to be. I usually use just the straight up period. So the regular old period there. I use that guy. Come down, hit Save User Settings. I'm going to save that. Close this window. Come to File and then Save Startup File. Before you do that though, get rid of the camera and the cube and that lamp that is in your file automatically. So you know most people have, when they start it up, they have like something like this, right? Like your file will look, I don't know, this guy's over here somewhere, and this guy's over here somewhere like this. You know, it looks roughly like this. You can just hold Shift and click all of these guys, hit X, delete. Okay, you don't need to have anything in it. If you want to, you can do the further step of going into orthographic mode, which is just hitting 5 on your keyboard or 5 on your number pad. Okay, 5 on the number pad if you're on a desktop. This puts us in orthographic mode, which gets rid of foreshortening with perspective. And then I usually just snap into front view. You can tell what view you're in the top left. Okay, front orthographic. All right, this is a more precise way of working. It's usually where I start. So once you've done all that, then go to File, Save Startup File, or hit Control U, and that just saves all the way that you've configured Blender to be right now. It saves it as your sort of default startup. So if you ever hit, you know, load a new file, it will look like this. You don't have to get rid of your timeline window, and you don't have to get rid of your cube and the camera and the lamp. Okay. I like having a blank file to work with. I don't like having a lot of junk in there that I have to get rid of. All right. Okay. All right. Don't feel like you have to keep pace with me as I'm working. All right, because I am recording this. All right, and you're going to have time when I get done with the demo to work on what we're doing. We're gonna make a shoebox, an orange, and a teacup. All right, varying levels of complexity. Orange, or a sphere with a slice taken out of it, okay, essentially, and then a teacup, so the with a handle and a saucer. All right, It sounds difficult. It's not. I'll show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. And then that shoebox, which I think is what I was trying to cram into Wednesday last week and it didn't happen. What's a good thing, I guess. So we're going to start with those guys. As I do them, I will explain kind of what I'm doing and what's going on and how things are being organized. If you have a question at any moment, just shoot your hand up or say, "Hey, dumbass, slow down," things like that. All right, that'll get my attention. Maybe not in the best way, but it'll get my attention. Okay. All right. Any questions before we go any further? Nada. All right. Go. Okie dokie. Okay. So, to make a shoebox, what kind of basic shape is a shoebox? A rectangle. All right. So, Shift A brings up our Add menu for an object mode. Remember, it's very important to know what mode you're in. It says it down here in your 3D view window. That bottom thingy there. Click on that. Object mode. Oh, why is it only showing me? That's weird. Where'd all my other modes go? Oh, because I don't have an object in there. Haha. If you don't have an object in your scene, there's like no other modes. I've never tried to like change my mode with no object in the scene. So I was like, where did all the other modes go? Anyway, object mode. This is the mode for dealing with objects. Not for editing them, right? That's edit mode. But for organizing different objects around in the world. So everything that we spawn, everything that we add into the scene is going to show up where this 3D cursor is where this little target reticle is. This is called the 3D cursor. It is really, really good and really, really terrible. It's really annoying at the beginning when you're first learning. Yeah.
Is there a shortcut to get the cursor back to center?
Sort of. The shortcut is with your mouse in this window space here. Hit spacebar, and then hit type in snap, and you're looking for snap cursor to center. Spacebar is like a omni search for all the menus. So instead of hunting through menus, you can just hit spacebar, and if you have an idea of what you're looking for, you can type it in. Do you have a question, Tyler? No, okay. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's less helpful, of course. You might have to hunt through a menu, but honestly, your best bet is to go to Google and type in Blender and then what you're trying to do. Because odds are somebody has made some terrible tutorial, probably an 11-year-old from Eastern Europe. And I shit you not, 80% of the tutorial videos you guys will see on YouTube will be Eastern Europeans and 11-year-olds, boys and girls. It's funny. I'm going to do a demographic study one day about it, I think. If I can ever get any funding for something like that. So anyway, the Omni search is really useful. I use it a lot. All right. If you have it up and you don't want to do anything, just hit escape. Escape gets you out of a lot of sticky issues. Sadly, not in life. There's no escape button for life. Shift A, we're going to add a mesh and a cube. That's our primitive we're going to work with. Okay. Shift A, mesh cube. So add my cube. Had to zoom in. I was way zoomed out. Can rotate using my mouse button there. Actually, I wonder if you key strokes. I was just wondering if I can show my keys up. That's a good question actually right now. Hold on, sorry. So Blender, show key strokes.
Which mouse button is it that's circulated?
It's the middle mouse button, the wheel. Screencast keys, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, click and hold it, and then drag. There you go. I was still gonna do it. Let's see if let's try to edit 3D. Show screen cast. Oh dang it! Make screencast. Yeah, but I want the keys. Clear shape key. I don't know if it's an add-on I have to add. Hold on. This would have been good to do before class started. Screencast. Nope. Okay, it's not there anymore. They must have taken the functionality out. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'll add it in the video at the end. Anyway, so middle mouse button. That's your mouse wheel. You click it. Okay. That orbits or spins objects is where it spins your camera around the origin point. That origin point is this little orange dot. Okay. Where this origin point is on your objects is very important. All right, this is the point at which they rotate around. Scaling happens from this point, etc. This is like considered where they exist in space. All right, and you may think, well, it's going to be in the middle, right, all the time. No, it's not. You can move it around. For instance, if I right-click and put my 3D cursor up there in that top corner, right? Just click in there, come to Object, Transform, Origin to 3D Cursor. Boom, there it's up there. Well, why would you want to do that? Maybe I want to rotate it around that point, right? So it's useful. It's very, very useful, okay? But it's also really annoying at the beginning, so try not to mess with your origin too much. When we start adding objects together, meshes together, the origins are going to be all over the place. It's good to consolidate them into one point, but we'll get there. As you can tell, there's lots of stuff to do in this class. Object, transform, origin to center of mass. Gets you right back where you want to be. All right, so front view. So it's a cube, yay. But as was mentioned, shoeboxes are not cubes, they're rectangles, right? Or whatever the rectangular cuboid term is, I don't know. So what we want to do is we need to scale this. We need to scale it out in either the y-axis, which is the green line here, or the x-axis, which is the red line here. Anybody colorblind? No? Everybody's good? Everybody can see green and red? Yeah? Can you not see green and red? Raise your hand. Sometimes that's a better question to ask. Okay. So we're just going to pick a dimension. It doesn't matter, right? We just need to make that rectangle. So S scales. S is your keystroke for scaling. So if you hit S and don't move your mouse, you'll see we now have this dotted line, right? We have this dotted line that attaches to our cursor. Oh, it's freaking out now. It's because I zoomed way in. Sorry, let me undo that. So we now have this dotted line that attaches to our cursor and lets us kind of pull and go back and forth and stuff. Now it's pulling in all directions. Well, we can constrain it to an axis. So if you hit S and you can still pull and scale it up and down, hit Y, and now it just scales in the Y-axis. If you hit X, it'll just scale in the X-axis. If you hit Z, it'll just scale in the Z-axis. Now here's where it gets cool. If you hit Shift X, Y, or Z, so if I hit Shift Z, it takes the Z-axis out and lets me scale it in the X and the Y. If I hit Shift X, Z and Y, right? Shift Y, Z and X. Say again? Nope, you hit S once to go into scale mode. Yeah, see, hands free. Yeah, all right? The only time how you save that scale is by then hitting left click and it saves the scale. Okay, so going back to our cube, just going to scale it in the Y there a little bit. That looks shoebox-ish. So I'm in my side view. That's 3 on your camera keys, those number pad keys. Okay, that should snap you into your right orthographic. 1 gets you back to your front orthographic. 7 gets you into your top orthographic. Okay, those are the 3 camera keys you will use the most, or I will use the most, so you will use the most. Okay? Everybody kind of following along so far? If you're lost and stuck and whatever, it's totally fine. Okay? Because there'll be the video and you're gonna have time after to watch, and it's easier for me to troubleshoot what's going on with you if I'm over there and not over here. No, I didn't. All right, we good? Yeah? All right, I'm gonna move on. If you're not good, raise your hand. Yeah? Okay. Sweet. So just hit left click and then Control Z to undo it, or Command Z to undo it. Yeah, Command Z. Yeah. But it doesn't always, it's complicated. Blender, comma, it's complicated. Yeah. All right? Cool. All right. I should make sure it's your right. I should. Red bubble. Anyway, so I have now a rectangle, right, to mess with. Now I need to just make it look like a box, right? But we did this last week where we go into edit mode by hitting tab, right? There's 3 different types of editing you can do. There's vertex editing, which is when you have the little points for where all your edges meet up. There's edge editing, which is when you just have the lines that you can select. and move around. And then there's face editing, which is then the spaces between the edges and the vertices. Okay. For what we're doing right now, I'm getting into those modes by being in edit mode and then hitting Control Tab, and that brings up the mesh select mode. Okay. So I'm in face mode. I'm just going to delete this top face real quick. So selecting it, hitting X, selecting faces. I'm going to delete the faces. So now I have an open box. But this is a box with no thickness. This box is infinitely thin. All right? There's no thickness to this box at all. And it can be that way because it's not real. It's on a computer. Okay? It's just there for reference. The face, there you go. Open box. Cool. All right. So with it like this, what we need to do is give it some thickness. There's a couple of different ways we can do this. I'm going to try a way I've not tried before, just to see if it works. So what we're going to do, there's a modifier, and I'm just going to try this and we'll see if it works. Modifiers are just a bunch of different crazy things that you can do to your meshes to get to wherever you need to be. I have not used all of these modifiers. I know what half of them do, maybe. The rest I Google when I need to, okay? So like I said Wednesday, and like I will repeat all semester, you do not need to know everything about Blender to get through this class. But the one we're going to use is called Solidify. I don't know if this is going to work. What I'm hoping it does is it gives us a little thickness to our mesh, because it makes it solid. I don't know that's going to work, because usually I've only ever used it on like single planes, not used it on complex planes. So I'm going to hit Solidify, and I'm going to give it some thickness, and I don't know did it actually work? Oh my god, it actually worked. That's amazing. It did actually work. Rad! Look at that. Because I have those interior lines, right? That tells me I have interior walls. So we're going to use, that's so much easier than the method I was going to show you. That's like way easier than the method I was going to show you. Yeah.
How do you switch that see-through mode again?
Oh, I'm sorry, Z. Yeah, so if you want to go from this this filled mode, this see-through mode, this wireframe mode, you hit Z on your keyboard. That is so much easier. That makes everything way easy. All right. You guys want me to show you like the way you used to have to do it before they did the Solidify? Yeah, probably. But I want you to like appreciate how like excited I am that that's that easy now, because it was a process. It wasn't that hard. It was. I am a little excited. This is my favorite class, easily. It's my favorite topic. What? Yeah. So this thickness, this is not in any units right now. It's not centimeters. It's not millimeters. It's not inches. It's just Blender units. Made up Lilliputian unit, right? You can set it. So if you're designing for 3D modeling to have some sort of physical output, you can set it, set the units to be something, whatever you want. And then these numbers would actually mean something. Like this would be, 0.15 inches or whatever. So it'd be super thin, right? Because the object is pretty small. But for now, it doesn't matter. Just go with something that looks fine. Okay, I'm zoomed way in. So really, the thickness is all you need to mess with. If you want to play with, let's do even thickness. Not even thickness. Why did that? So weird. The whole thing? You're getting ahead of us. I want even thickness? Yeah, okay, you want even thickness. I would select that. Although it makes those really weird. Not sure I like that, how thick it is there. Well, we'll play with it. Alright, so once you have it done, once you have some thickness there on your box, here's the thing about modifiers. If you remember from Photoshop, when we do like layer adjustments, non-destructive editing to stuff, right? Those layer adjustments are just sort of like filters put atop the image, right? You're not actually like changing that actual object. Does that make sense? It's like a magic trick that you can turn on and off, right? That's what modifiers are like. So this little eyeball toggles the visibility of the modifier. So if I turn it off, I go back to my infinitely thin box. Turn it back on, I get my thick box. You can't, I'm sorry, the eye right here. So what this means is instead of having actual edges and vertices and faces on this thickness that I can play with and move around, I don't. Like the only things that I can touch in edit mode are the original edges of my box, and you can see that by being in wireframe in edit and seeing that there's no little point handle here, right? There's nothing I can edit. There's nothing I can grab. I can't click right here. It only gives me that side, all right? To be able to edit that, you just go back into object mode and hit apply, and that essentially like bakes or fixes that modifier into that object, right? So now I can edit those points. Now I have stuff to play with, right? So maybe I want to make the thickness right here match this thickness, okay? So I'm going to grab that face, go into my top view, I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to move it. Now moving in Blender is called grabbing. G is the keyboard shortcut for it. You're going to get lots of keyboard shortcuts today, I'm sorry. But G is that keyboard shortcut. So I hit G to grab it, and just like with scaling, I can move it wherever, right? But I don't want to. I only want to move it in one direction. I want to move it in the green axis, the y-axis direction. So I'm going to hit G, Y to snap to the y-axis, and then I'm just going to eyeball it to try to get that thickness. Come here. Alright, sorry, I had to angle so I can grab that face. I'm going to do the same up here at the top. Just eyeballing it. I don't care if it's precise, just get it to look kind of right. Okay? If you're in perspective mode and it looks like this, it might be a little harder to move it. That's up to you. If you're fine moving or editing in perspective mode with this sort of foreshortening and linear perspective, that's on you. I don't like it when I'm editing. I like it for rendering and other things, but right now it's not the best. You get more precise movement if you're in orthographic mode when you edit meshes. Okay, so now we have a box. Look, it's a box. We're halfway there, right? So what is a lid to a shoebox? It's a box. It's a slightly shorter box, right? So we're going to copy this one, rotate it, make it a little, and then adjust the dimensions a little, right? So to copy things, you're just duplicating. You can either hit spacebar and type in duplicate objects. You can see it there. But really what we're going to do is hit Shift D. All right, that's the keyboard shortcut for duplicating. So Shift D. Hey, duplication. Woo, we got another box. Oh, right. Okay, I'll show you. So just click and hold it, or just click on it. If you want to select something, you can either hit A, and that will select everything, or deselect everything, or you can left-click it. But you need to be in object mode. Like if yours looks like this, or some variation of this, right? And you're trying to select the whole thing, just hit Tab and go back into object mode. Okay, this is edit mode, where we can edit the faces and edges and vertices. This is object mode, where we can just move the object and do things to the object as a whole. Tab, yep, Tab goes back and forth. This menu down here gets you into those different modes. But try not to become a menu hunter. Okay. Anyway, duplicating, but I just want to move it in one axis. I just want to move it up, right? So I'm going to, while it's still being selected, I haven't hit my left mouse button or anything, so I can still move it freely. Just hit Z, constrains your movement to that Z axis. I'm just going to move it up above my other box. Cool. If you're lost on yours, don't worry about it. Just follow, just watch what I'm doing up here, okay? All right, so then I'm just going to rotate, which is R, helpfully. That's your keyboard shortcut, R for rotate. We get the same line. I can do things to it now. If you hold Control, you snap to increments of 5. Down here at the bottom left, you can see the value of the rotation. I would zoom in on it, but it would get really funky. Okay, see it there? So you can either just snap it. So that's at 0. So I think my top opening is up. So I'm going to hit 180. I'm going to type in just 180, and that puts my opening down here at the bottom. All right, so my opening is right there. Let me move it up a little bit more so you can see it. If right? There's my opening. Okay. So I need to make it, well, shorter, definitely, right? And then scale it out a little bit so it sits on top. All right, so I'm gonna just hit S for scale and Z to constrain the axis because I only want to scale its size this way. I might actually go into wireframe mode to make sure I don't let this part get too thin, which is pretty thin, but we can fix that here in a second. I'm gonna go into edit and back here and go into face mode. I'm gonna grab this face so that I can move this face down to bring some of that thickness back. Okay. All right. So now, obviously, that's not going to work great for a shoebox because we want this interior space to fit over the exterior walls of the box. So I'm just going to scale out. And actually, if you want, you can bring it all the way down. So G and Z. G to grab it, Z to constrain to the Z axis, move it down. I'm going to hit S to scale again. So I can kind of scale that. And I'm just trying to line up the inside edge of the lid with the outside edge of the box. And G down. And there's my shoebox, which is a kind of goofy looking shoebox, but whatever. No, just get it as close as you can. Yeah. It should be the shoebox, if I open up your Blender file, I should be able to bring that lid down and have it not touch or intersect the edges. Yours doesn't have to be as goofy thick as mine is, right? I'm just doing that to illustrate it. But that's what then it looks like, right? Shoebox. Yay, shoebox. I don't know. That's what shoebox looked like when I was a kid. So, shoeboxes. They're all fancy now. So that's very simple, right? Does it seem? I mean, it seems simple to me. I don't know, but I've been doing this a long time. So shoebox. So we're gonna take some time now, and I want everyone to make a shoebox. All right, and then we'll move on to the orange and the slice and the teacup. Yeah, Sam.
I missed the part where you were holding G and change the thickness of the box inside.
Oh, how I changed that?
Yeah.
Okay. So to do that, so say you've got, this guy. Oh, look, it's all goofy here. Scale that in the X a little bit. So say I have like this line here, and it's too thin or too thick, and I want to just move that part, right? So you need to think about it in terms of being. Let me move it up so we can actually look at it here. I'll hide the box. So think about it in terms of like this. Oops. These are all planes, right? Remember from geometry. So all of these faces, right, that's what a plane is, are things that I want to be able to edit and move, okay? So you want to just grab that interior, grab whatever face you want to move, and then get into a view where you can move it and line it up the way you want to. So I have that face selected right now. I'm in my front view. Hit G, and then I would constrain to an axis, right? So G, and then whatever axis you want to move in, Z, X, or Y. And then just move up and down or whatever, right? Obviously, if I come down here, that makes it look different. If I go too far back or in, that breaks it. So, just find the thickness that you want it to be. Okay? Same thing like here, I can select that face, and the little black dots are like the middle of the face. So if you're in wireframe and you want to just select that face, just click on that little black dot. Make this a little thinner. So that should get you close to your shoebox. I'm gonna make mine a little thinner. All you guys. So yeah, so play around with that right now, and I will come around and give you a hand. All right. up?
Okay, I cannot get it to rotate around the
Oh,
cube instead.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because you're using a trackpad. Let's see. Let's zoom in there. Okay, so for somehow you were
Oh.
not centered on your object. And,
Oh.
that's why I had you hit that view selected or change that view selected
Oh.
button. So anytime that happens again, just hit your period, and that will center on whatever object you have selected.
That's
And then
easy.
it should work. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Definitely try to get a mouse.
Perfect. Oh yeah, I need to order
Invest in a
that.
mouse. It shouldn't take very long. Is it still downloading? It's only like, actually I don't know how big it is anymore. Blender.org. Yay! Okay. Now I'm happy with it. Let's put it.
Yeah, how do you center it back to where it's oh, right. One. You're better off just deleting the whole object. So, okay, so before you do that, before you get quick copy, shift D to get to the object, G straight to an axis. Your axis key. You're also upside down right now. So go ahead and left click. Damn it, that's right. That's right on top, so I don't know. Yeah, okay, so where you do that. So yeah, your opening is, so this will be your box opening, right? So select this one. And then R, and then you just want to rotate around. So you're in free mode right now, which is really hard to like. It's more controlled, it's not too fine. There you go. Okay, or you can just type in the number you want. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Oh, one basic. Yes.
It's 11.
Yeah. So you should be able to just like even just grab
Oh my
the
God.
axis, or grab the red axis. There we go. So it should do that. Then after.
See if I can replicate it. What? Are you on the guest or wireless network? Yeah, see, Josh, this is what it should be doing. It should only move that face, but for some reason it's moving your entire object, or that like.
It's moving that entire side.
Yeah, which is really weird. So, I don't know. I don't know.
Email me the file. See if there's something in your file. Which mirror did you edit? Oh my god. That is not. Just type in Blender. Great. Okay. So download. You know what mirror? There's different sites you can download. Oh, okay. You just did that. That's what's taking forever. Oh, weird. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, just wait then. Jeez. That's crazy. Oh, good. No problems.
I got a question. So I can't like just have you oh no, it's
So you can change it. For me, it's and we do so it's better to work this with.
Oh, yeah.
So what we did is right. Your key. In this mode,
Same. I like
yeah.
so my next
Yeah.
is how do I
Because they're not lined up.
yeah, so is this like cut off center?
Right. So up here is this window we have rotation. Yeah. The rotation.
Oh, so you don't press 0?
So you.
Okay.
Now yeah. Zero. Zero. Yeah. Well, so it's not switch there.
Okay.
What did you do? Oh no!
Oh, you didn't change it. So you might. Oh, right, yeah.
How do you do the?
Okay. Back in object. I like to go. Oh, right. So this is our thickness.
How do I navigate this?
We've got some thickness that tab. That's really so really here. So it makes one picture up. Yep. Z. Z. Strength in Z axis. Move it up. Move up first. Like this here, right? Now you can rotate the strings. Well, so you should also understand. This is why I do it not like this. But because if you do this, you can rotate.
Wait.
Right now, we
Eat that on bed. No, that's a lot of work. Oh, okay.
By looking at it this way, automatically strings. Whereas when we look at this, look at it like this, we don't know like what. It doesn't know what accent.
So how do you
Really precise.
Oh.
If you're extra wide, check me. Try to freehand it. Okay, exactly like this.
I do not know
Oh, okay. But save that. Oh, are you doing the? No, I don't.
No, I have to do that.
You're trying to get right scripts. Yeah. Oh, right. That's because most of you go into the game, then you should render it.
Unfortunately. That's because the show makes it. Unfortunately. That's some great thing. No. So she so she's not a larger object. She said, do that. That's what she said. She agreed. Yeah, that's that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's what this was my town to select that face. Like you wanted to click on the face.
I could believe just like it. Like this.
Yes. So inside that box. And then the top part. This part right here is a paper thin.
You know how to rotate the shape of like fork? Because like I'm trying to make it sort of
Yeah, the whole thing. Without just like the element. Oh, no, I didn't even think about doing select rows. Thank you for your help.
So now you have 2 cubes instead of 1.
Yeah. Let me pause. Essentially.